about 4 years ago, actually 4 years ago, 2 weeks from now, March 13th, 2020, I published a piece over on Alternet laying out how Republicans were then, 10 months before January 6th, planning on stealing the election for Donald Trump with fake electors and with Mike Pence not certifying all of the votes. When I published that article 10 months before January 6th, people were saying, number one, don't give them any ideas. You don't have to worry about that. They already were thinking about it. And number two, Trump would never do that. That's too audacious. He's not going to do that. And if he did, he wouldn't get away with it. But I was right. And that's exactly what Trump did. And now I'm hearing a news story. And by the way, this isn't just unique to me. Joy Reid talked about this on Friday of last week. The editor-at-large of Newsweek has written about it and other places, that the Republicans have a new scheme. First, they need to maintain control of the House of Representatives. The House is sworn in on January 3rd. The president is certified on January 6th. So on January 3rd, the Republicans need to maintain control of the House, even if Democrats win a majority of the House seats. Now, how do they do that? The same way that right now we see that the Tom Suozzi, the guy who won the race in New York's 3rd district, I believe it's the 3rd, has not been sworn in yet. Eric Swalwell is talking about this. He says Eric Swalwell just announced on MSNBC that Republicans are refusing to seat Suozzi because their majority in the House is so small. I mean, this is pretty straightforward stuff. And, I don't know how how long this is going to hang on here, how long they're going to be able to get away with this stuff. But, they're saying that they're going to swear in Suozzi on Thursday of this week. But the fact of the matter is they could have sworn him in before they adjourned, and they didn't. So how do the fascists win? Well, number one, you do that. You hold on to the House of Representatives. So Johnson continues to be Speaker of the House, even though the Democrats got more votes for the House of Representatives. He would just say, oh, well, we've got these 7 Democrats who just happen to make the majority, who we think there are problems with the elections in their home districts. And so we're going to hold off on seating them for a couple of weeks while we examine the irregularities in this election. So he gets to stay Speaker. And then as Speaker, he gets to lead the effort on January 6th to say, no, we're not going to accept the Electoral College certificates of election from, a couple of states where we think something skeezy went on. And as a result, there are not 270 Electoral College votes for Trump or Biden, neither one. So what happens then? Then the election gets thrown into the House of Representatives. And in the House of Representatives, each state has 1 vote. Now, there are 26 states that are controlled by Republicans, 23 states that are controlled by Democrats, 1 that's 50-50, Pennsylvania, in terms of their congressional delegation. So you would have a 26-23 vote in the House of Representatives for Donald Trump, and he would become president. And Republicans are betting that just like when Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes and Trump became president anyway, just like when Al Gore won by 500,000 votes and Trump became president anyway, there was no large, wide-scale outrage. There was no, people didn't show up on the streets. And so the Republicans are guessing that this time there won't be either. That, it'll be, oh, yeah, everything's good. Trump is president again for 4 more. Yeah, there'll be some protests. But then President Trump comes in and he starts putting down the protests. I mean, this is Project 2025, right? Impose fascism on the United States. Or at least that's how, some would characterize it. So I think that this is actually a possibly really big deal. And then, of course, once they have done this, once they have put Trump back in the White House and they're still, they're maintaining a Republican control over the House of Representatives, then the Republicans pursue their actual agenda, which is to end gay marriage and criminalize being trans, outlaw abortion and most forms of birth control, end the teaching of black history, outlaw DEI and affirmative action of any sort, shut down most functions of the EPA so the fossil fuel and chemical industries can do whatever they want to our air and water, end enforcement of our anti-monopoly laws, fire thousands of IRS investigators to make America safe for the morbidly rich tax cheats, shut down all the green initiatives and instead drill baby drill, sell off public lands and parks to the highest bidders, privatize Social Security and end traditional Medicare, end federal funding for public schools and colleges, and outlaw unions. I mean, this is, you know, they're not hiding any of these things. These are the things that are, you know, at the top of their agenda. I really think that Americans are figuring out increasingly, in increasing numbers, that the Republican Party is not working for your average American. The Republican Party is working for the morbidly rich and Vladimir Putin. And Donald Trump, of course, who is Putin's guy. And I just don't see how this can be stopped. I mean, if you have some thoughts on how it could be stopped, I'd love to hear them. I do think that the number one thing to do is to publicize it, to let people know what's going on, to put it out there, so that we can have some so that there can be some resistance to this that would stir up some sort of backlash in advance. Now, the one downside to that, potentially, is that if we publicize it heavily and there's all this sturm and drang and then that kind of goes away, then, it becomes normalized. Oh, yeah, well, the Republicans are going to do that. Well, I guess they can legally do that. Okay, well, let's not protest. So, I'm really kind of torn about this. But that's what it seems to me is what's going on. So, what do you think? On the other side of the break, Republican pollsters talking about the rise of Trump is not just because of Trump. It's because he was enabled by a bunch of Republican elected officials and a crazy alert.